You must just do it. It's very easy. Just draw, write, whatever you can do. Abuse whatever resources are available to you. If you go to college and you get free copies, or there's an unguarded printer in any of the rooms, wherever you're at the library, your dad's office, whatever the heck whatever you have access to, create comics from that, because it is a magical thing to create with a pen and a piece of paper, to create something that is this is something that drew and wrote, and now it's become a thing that people can buy and have in their home.
And to not get hung up on, I need the fine Bristol and the perfect brush and the rapidograph pens, like a Bic pen and some computer paper that you could steal from somewhere. You just have to get out and create a thing and be creative. And even if you're bad at it, which everyone is, which we are, it's better to do something and have that catharsis than to just be like, I'm not a creative person, so I'd never even tried. And that's one of the most horrifying things about culture and society, in my eyes, when I hear people say that. I'm not a creative person. Like, the difference between a creative person and an uncreative person is that a creative person thinks it's something they can practice and become better at, and the uncreative person just never tries in the first place. And it's horrifying that people wouldn't try, because the catharsis and the joy of not comics, but any creative thing is such a beautiful feeling.
The advice given at the end of the video is wrong. If you have any doubts whatsoever, no matter how slight, you shouldn't do it. Preemptively give up. You walk away clean. Your name is still intact. You maintain the high ground of cowardice and dry pants. Creativity is a curse. Strive for mediocrity and blandness. If you can, find a way to blend in. Be part of the herd. It's safer. Consider actuarial work, something with numbers. If you do feel compelled to start drawing, cut your fingers off. Teach yourself to operate scissors with your feet to finish off the other hand. Failing that, paint yourself gray and go on national television offering a secret to the first 800 callers. Don't hold back. Give of yourself to the mob. You can't imagine the joy you'll feel as they tear you to pieces. Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Oak Comics Party.
Welcome to Royal Oak Comics Party, episode 29, the Space Show wrap-up.
It's been a good time. It's been a good weekend.
Yes,
been a fun weekend.
It has. Lots of fun people and exciting adventures. But regrettably low economic gains.
Yeah. Which was kind of one of the major goals.
It surely is every time we do go out.
Other times I feel like we've done medium business, and I'm all right with that because in the past we've done fairly cost-effective productions. We've done cheap books. Mostly the goal is to just get wasted and have a good time.
Correct.
But with Laid to the Bone, the newest book.
We did an expensive book and got wasted not at all.
Right.
Almost, kind of.
Super expensive, super high production book.
Yes.
And like the worst convention we've ever been to.
Definitely financially, I would say that is totally true. Yes.
I guess as a event, there was at least one worse one. as an organized event, there's one worse one. But this one was very bad and very few people through the door. Very low potential customers. Even though I feel like we did good, like our ratio of total people through the door to
ones
sales,
that we actually sold books to.
that was a good ratio. But
I thought so too. But there was again a show where people wanted to see comic books, like in a traditional sense, I think. And we have, it is a comic book, but it's quite a zine as well. And a lot of the other stuff on the table, there's a large percentage of the table that is just zine type material and handmade and lovingly crafted.
Right.
Which doesn't seem to go over very well.
Apparently is like dissed and terrifying to the normal audience. Like, we made this with our hands. And it's like, well, I really would prefer something that you just paid a lot of money for a machine
hadn't.
to make. I wish you hadn't.
I wish you hadn't done it with your hands.
Hands?
Yeah, there's a lot of like glossy, kind of looks like maybe it could be in a comic store.
Right.
Type of comics. I don't know. There's not that I have anything against that particular like printing style, or if you want to create something that goes into that format, but I think a lot of the material, it's not just the format that is the same as every other comic that you would see in the store. It's also the content is just, it's the same.
Right. This is my superhero story that I'm just slumming it here in Indieville until I get my fat Marvel deal. Because being that, being on Spider-Man is really my end goal, you know, or whatever equivalent.
Spider-Man. I don't know. So, but I guess like, okay. Well, like you were saying, I feel that what we put out there was good product, and the way that we handled the customers that we were given was very, that worked well too, but there just weren't that many people there.
Yeah.
And there were too many vendors. I mean, like Fred said, maybe Columbus just doesn't have that many people that would ever attend a show like this.
Right.
Which is totally possible, I think, but I don't know. I think also I think it is possible to get that many people in there.
I think so. And just like anything, I think it's possible to throw a, like outsider zine show in a place that might not have that many outsider zines. It's just how you market it.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I could, we were talking about, maybe we should throw our own Detroit zine show. And, it wouldn't surprise me if we, spent a lot of time and energy to, get this all together and get artists signed up and get tables organized, and then, 7 people show up. Just, throwing a big rock show. We've done that before.
You never know.
And, nobody shows. 2 paying customers come through the door, and we spent all this time and energy to, make sure bands are happy and make sure we got promotional materials that are beautiful and make sure all the blogs are writing about it, and then still nobody shows up.
Or it's the same thing. I was talking to Natasha last night about, if the only people that you can guarantee are going to go to an event that caters to a certain interest are the people who also are participating in creating the content for that interest. So, you can throw a rock show in Detroit and guarantee that all your friends who are in rock bands are going to show up. But with the comics thing, that's base level. You want to always be pushing for more than that. You don't just want the people who are already know what all of that stuff is about.
Right.
You want people who have no idea, they've never heard of it before. So by some manner of trickery, you have to get them into the building.
And I don't know what the method for that is.
I don't claim to either.
Media blitzing and, getting on the radio show and all that type of default promotional thing, I guess. But I don't know. I'm bad at promoting things. And that's the thing. The whole philosophy of how we make and promote and release our materials is not the way that anyone else is doing it, and that's why we don't have people beating our door down.
Nor the way that anyone should do it.
Right. Nobody should do it.
As far as promotions, but I mean, when you hear the pitches from other people that you meet at the conventions, it's the pitch starts with, "I want this to become a action figure," or "I want this to become a movie."
Right.
Which is where I feel like a lot of people get into comics now, is they see this
as thread thin as it is, they see this like path.
The serpentine path to finally getting the action figure
It's
made.
more of like a tapeworm.
Right.
But, yeah.
I mean, is it because, I mean, we could easily just start making a movie tomorrow. We could easily learn how to cast things and start making figures and figurines tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation, and I feel like, I don't know. That's the thing. Maybe we're spoiled because we're clever. And we can figure it out. Just like, didn't really know a whole lot about screen printing, learned the entire process of executing a high-level screen print just to make this one thing, you know? And it wasn't like it was a big deal. It was just, that's the thing we have to figure out how to do. Of course we can figure out how to do it, because we're good at that, figuring the thing out. And I don't know. Other people I feel like have a hard time with it, which is why they're paying big companies to manufacture their books on machines.
Right.
Which is why they're imagining like, oh, when I make my movie, it'll have to be with Sony because only they have the money to make a movie, you know?
Right. And also you hear people saying, well, oh yeah, I've been wanting to do screen printing for so long. And it's like, oh, you have? Because all you need is like maybe $100 or something. Like, not even that.
Right.
Make a stencil and put it under the screen.
Exactly.
Like you can do it. You can do it immediately.
Our
screen do it right away.
Our screen printing studio is very nice and cost a lot of money. And it was only because we could do that, because we were like luxury boys balling out on screen printing. But
we're at the top of the very, it came up to this point money curve.
Right.
Where it was like, better blow it all on making 400 books right now.
You know, but if the money wasn't there for that project at that time, I bet for what we spent probably a few $100s making our screen printing studio, we could have done for $20. Because there's sketches of like those clamps and that board and those designs. They could have been made out of cheaper materials where we just like they're held together with wire and they're like carved out of like bricks of wood, and
definitely
we could have done it for $20.
But that's every project we've ever done. We went overkill on the first time.
Exactly. So, I don't know what we're getting at here.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But yeah, it was horrifying. It was generally a horrifying experience speaking with the other creators.
I think so too. I think so too. Not to say all, but I just don't. I feel like I don't want the same things as most comics people do.
You know, but I was thinking. Sure, go ahead.
It was a little heartening to talk to the people who were the other organizers from like the Staple in Austin and the Genghis Khan in Cleveland.
Yes.
Like that makes me feel better, because the way that they were talking about their conventions made it sound more welcoming, and it made it sound more like something that it would be worthwhile to participate in. You know? Like they were basically saying like, yeah, we wouldn't have had this whole swath of people at the convention because they go through and pick out things that fit together a little bit better so that they can have the correct audience come in for the correct materials.
Yeah. Which then it's like exclusivity weirds me out, you know? Like I want it to be everyone's invited, but then clearly when everyone's invited, it doesn't work out.
No, it doesn't.
And so I don't know. It's my inner hippie wants it to be like, we all just got together and showed our work, dude. You know,
Yeah,
but the business side comes out and it's like, execute these people. They're not to be anywhere near the thing that is the real thing, that is the good thing that we want, you know?
Right. Oh, goodness.
But a lot of good things came. All things were good other than money from our space experience this weekend.
Definitely. Cowboy Boys were a fucking hoot as usual.
Super treat as ever.
And you're making an album with them now?
Yes, they did a record called, I think it was just called Shitty Compilation CD, where every track was them just like hooting and slamming on a Casio over GarageBand preset beats, and like recording it on the iPhone that's just set to voice recorder. So yeah, so of course we'll take this piece of work that's like the most lo-fi nonsense, and there's going to be the Young Shoes and Chopped a full album that's like every track from that remixed, and then Detroit rap tracks screwed and chopped, and then some new beats that I'm gonna make that are gonna be the demos to give to Fred that he's gonna make a rap record out of. So theoretically 2 albums should be coming out of this, but you know, and another project that's gonna take an unimaginable number of man hours and yield little to no exposure or money.
Right. Well,
So-
we also signed a $1 million deal with them to do a podcast.
Yes, and then
Join the network, the great network of Royal Oak Comics
the Great
Party
Royal Oak
podcasts.
Comics Party podcasting network. It looks like the next podcast to join is going to be the Cowboy House movies that came out in 2003 podcast.
Which we found out includes both of the second Matrix movies.
Both Matrix
Which
sequels.
no one seemed to be able to believe, including me.
Yeah. But so their podcast, and then I think finally this space convention, we rolled out the idea that we are probably better suited as editors and publishers and manufacturers. And so we pitched the Cowboys the idea of producing a giant monograph for them. And I feel like while that's another project that's going to take an unimaginable amount of time and energy and be very expensive, would be worth it because their stuff is the only stuff that I see around and love,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I feel the same way.
And I feel like they're underrepresented, and some of their, I don't know, I'm ranting. I've just been on like super verbose mode constantly this last week.
Yeah, I don't know. After that show, I'm just trying to get my. Will I just do this thing forever, even if there's never a dime in it?
Right.
Kind of trying to see how I feel about that in my life.
Yeah, I think we just have to keep casting the net, you know? You have to put the hook in the water a lot of times
We
sometimes.
cast an extremely narrow net, but it's very long.
Yeah. Sinks right to the bottom most
It's
times.
right to the bottom. A lot of bycatch.
But so Cowboy Records, Cowboy Podcast, Cowboy Monograph, like all these good things that are going to be finally like Cowboy House and Royal Oak Comics Party together, you know, as like we're 2 powerful teams, or at least teams that I feel like are making valuable artwork. So together we should theoretically be more powerful. But then also one of the great conversations that came from space was the idea of we buy handguns.
Yes.
Tell us about We Buy Handguns.
Well, so we wanted to have a sign on the front of our table instead of just being a blank table with 10,000 zines on top of it. So we had a sign up there that said "We Buy Handguns" with like 6 clip arts of handguns on it. And we're asked many times if we really did. We did not, but we were asked by one man who was 8 feet tall
Yeah, probably.
with a Hulk t-shirt, which Jeff Cowboy House said made the Hulk look like a regular sized man. But he had come by our table once and he was just like, and then he came back again and he looked at the sign. He goes, "You guys really buying handguns here? Or is that just a smart-ass sign?" To which there is no right answer,
Right.
I don't think, because he's either like a cop or he's just like an angry handgun guy who doesn't like being made fun of. But
He definitely had handgun enthusiast written all over him.
Oh, yes. I think it was written right here.
Right.
But he went into great detail explaining all of the Ohio rules and regulations for buying and selling handguns, and assured us that anywhere in America you can sell a gun to another man. It's the Constitution.
Right.
Which, okay, great, thank you very much. But that's not what you were asking at all. You were asking about some of the graphic novel ideas that we
Yes.
had about We Buy Handguns. So that sign is going to now become the cover of We Buy Hand, or probably not the cover. The cover is going to be way more beautiful than that. But We Buy Handguns is going to be a story about a boy or a man, a son, whose father is killed or has died in some way, and who is trapped in, at least the son believes, in the Vietnamese afterlife zone. So the son is religiously burning the incense and burning the hell money. It's kind of a way to integrate a lot of different ideas that we've had into one story,
Yes.
which I think will work out very nicely. And you would almost describe the beginning of it almost like a little montage of all of the little religious traditional things and
Yes.
practices that
And
he's
that like
doing.
the opening can kind of be, or maybe it wouldn't be the first page or something, but it would be in there somewhere, the montage of like, and I was comparing it to like the scene in Clerks where he's opening the convenience store, where it's like the shot of like the coffee in the machine hitting the button, and then like the papers going into the rack and then snipping the thing, and like the kind of montage
Yeah.
of the but it would be the montage of opening the, what am I?
The pawn shop.
The pawn
It
shop. The
works.
dad opened the pawn shop. The dad owned the pawn shop, and when he dies, the son inherits it. So the montage of opening the pawn shop for business for that day is, you know, the lighting of the incense and the, you know, laying out of the, you know, religious artifacts and, you know,
Yeah.
getting everything ready with the universe more than getting everything ready for whatever crackhead's going to try and sell a stolen guitar or something like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to do something that's like in the form of comics, where there's panels in a row, where there's events that happen in order, and, you know, do some of the little things that we've vowed not to do, like the truth darts should have no context for anything, where they should be like a storybook, where it should be one frame after the other with just one image and one sentence. This is where we can have the, you know, little, fuck, it makes me feel like such a sellout even to consider that this is how it's going to look, but like frame after frame on the same page, like,
I didn't sign up for this.
I didn't sign up for this. Yeah. Well, maybe not. We'll figure out how it'll look. But I think it could be beautiful and accessible. And when I was telling my brother about the premise, he definitely sounded more excited about it than when I was like, oh yeah, Truth Dart, they're going to do nothing. And it's going to be 50 pages long. Well, what else happens? Yeah, not much.
There's at least something to describe.
Right. But like
Yeah.
the idea of the supernatural aspects and the some of the imagery of like some of the ghost design imagery, I guess.
Well, also it was kind of a way to take some of the most dumb premises of any of the other comics at the show and turn them into like something interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know
Because
if we
there's-
wanted to mention that part of it. But
I'm not
yeah.
mentioning anything totally specific, but there's just the whole zombie everything. Like,
Right.
You could easily say that 50% of any of the materials that were available at the show
Were zombie themed, yes.
or related.
So this is going to be our zombie book.
This is our zombie book. We're zombie comic book creators now. And also maybe zombie filmmakers after this.
Yes. Did we have a zombie film idea?
This one. This
Okay.
one, which also becomes the film.
Okay. This is the one. We're
This
gonna
one becomes Vietnamese Clerks.
Right, yeah.
But I don't know. Have we ever talked any about the hell money or any of that
On the show?
concepts on the show?
I don't think so.
I don't know either.
Do we need
do
to
you know what
describe
time it
it?
is, or have we been
I have
going
not
for
been watching
2
the
hours?
clock. You said you flipped this thing. You said, I thought you
I
said you
lied.
didn't watch it.
Okay. All right. Let me just go run, check real quick.
Okay.
I'll be right back, and then we'll talk about hell money.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I just held like I was not doing anything.
Talk about hell money for 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay.
So the hell money thing, hell money is this type of, as far as I understand, I could be completely fucking wrong right now, but as far as I understand it, it's this currency, the physical currency that exists in our realm, that you burn this currency, and when you burn it, it is released into some kind of afterlife where it goes to your ancestors and allows them to pay for the things that they need in that afterlife. Like in that afterlife scenario, it's much more of like a everyday life kind of thing. And it's not quite as crazy, magical, like you never need to eat again, la la la, heaven or hell thing. It's you still need money, you still need some iPads, you still need belts and shoes and Rolexes and stuff like that. So it's this whole, we still need Rolexes, just like now.
Just like now.
But there's also the hell clothing, which is like cardboard clothing sets that you can burn and send to the relatives. And I think there's a component too of like you generating some kind of goodwill or saving things up for yourself. Like if you need that to come back to you eventually too, it's kind of just like this cycle of destroying things so that they can come back to you.
Yes. And I think also that in We Buy Handguns, I'm going to say, you know, we should definitely do research and find really the true tale of all these things, but also take tons of liberties and not be bound by it at all.
I think so too. It would just be a take on that scenario.
Yes.
It would not be like a...
As ever,
I wouldn't use this book as a reference for
Right.
exactly what's going on in that world. I would like to mix a number of different, you know, afterlife views.
again,
this,
painting
you know?
with the very, very broad strokes.
Yes. Right.
But I'm hopeful for that, and I'm hopeful for the next Truth Dart, and I'm hopeful for, you know, producing podcasts and all the things that came up in conversation over the weekend. You know, I think.
So am I. This weekend has not broken us.
No.
So we will see you next time on Royal Oak Comics Party. Thank you for watching.